I'd earned it. I worked hard all school year so I could do that. You know what? I'm glad that I was able to take that extra week off. Hey everyone, today I wanted to talk about how I successfully got exempted from all 6 of my classes' finals in senior year of high school. I decided I wanted to talk about this because this week is the 10-year anniversary of that week off. With the day I plan to publish this, May 26th, being 10 years to the day of the first real day off from that which I either would have had off during I wouldn't have had off if I were a freshman, sophomore, or junior. Or if I had to take a final that was scheduled for that day, I would have had to go in. But I didn't have to go in for any finals after Memorial Day of that year. I was able to just enjoy a week off. Now, the reason that the day I'm publishing this is significant is because during Memorial Day itself, both my brother and sister were home. Not to mention, my parents didn't have work, so again, that day was just your typical Memorial Day, like the usual federal holiday. The 26th through 30th, the 29th, man, I had the run of the place for those 4 days, which was pretty much the goal. But before I talk more about that, let's go back and recount how I did this. And I've actually got my final report card below me, which I keep in my memory box because it was significant to me that I'd set a goal and I accomplished it. This way I can give you context of what classes I had. So, before I do that, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe for daily videos, and comment things that you worked to achieve. They don't have to be huge. They can be personal, like this one was very personal to me. Most of my friends either had AP exams they had to take, which meant they wouldn't have to take it later in May, or they were fine with taking the final exam. But me personally, I didn't want to have to take any AP classes. I'd already taken one the previous year, and I decided wanted an extra week off all to myself. Well, most of a week, because even though again, I didn't have school on Memorial Day no matter what, but I wanted those extra 4 days where I would know that my siblings would be at school and my parents would be at work. So when the school year began, I set out to make sure I would actually do well enough to get out of these finals. I knew what I had to do. I had to get at least a B for the final grade, and my term 4 grades had to be a B or higher. Thankfully, with the internet, they gave us the option to be able to track that. Now, up until that point, I didn't really care about particularly high grades. I tried to avoid D's just for the sake of my parents not getting on my case, like Peter Gibbons avoiding doing the bare minimum to make sure that Lumberg and whoever else, the other 8 bosses that he talked about getting on his case. So yeah, academically, I was pretty much Peter Gibbons because all I wanted to do was just go home and do nothing. Well, I wanted to play video games, but technically speaking, it was nothing compared to extracurricular activities. A stance I personally stand by because I saw how overscheduled everyone was, and I was like, nah, I don't want to have to deal with that. So anyway, the 6 classes I took in senior year of high school were video production, English, legal studies, pre-calculus, psychology, and film studies. The other period was filled with study hall. So basically, I would make sure that I actually passed. I was able to afford 1 C per term that was not term 4. So the first term, I got a C in legal studies, which is weird because I had 1 B minus and then 2 A's and an A minus. Yeah, kind of strange how that worked out. But anyway, I still managed to make honor roll every term, getting a C each in legal studies and pre-calculus for the terms, for the first 2 terms, and then C for my midterm in English, which is because the midterm and final exams are both respectively separate grades from the terms. But anyway, I was really motivated, so I made sure to get all the homework done and get it done as well as I could. Put forth my best foot with put my best foot forward with presentations and not give teachers a reason to want to fail me. So yeah, it was all in the name of making sure I had that extra week off to myself. Because again, regular school vacation weeks, let's just say it didn't mean as much to me because there would be someone home during the day, whether it be one of my parents or both of them, with them structuring their work schedules so that one of them was generally home during the day. Then you had my siblings who went to the same school, and despite still having some extracurricular activities, would still generally be on the same school schedule as me. So yeah, I would study enough to get what I needed to, and then after the midterm, it was all A's and B's from there. While everyone else was getting senioritis and kind of checking out because they knew that they had it in the bag or it wouldn't make much of a difference. Personally, I was intent to make sure that I had that extra week off. So after another term 3 getting all A's and B's. Term 4, I was excited. I was like, this is the final stretch. Do not give in to senioritis. Everyone around me was still mentally checked out because senioritis. But personally, I wanted to make sure that I got exempted from everything, so somehow, some way, term 4, I got all A's except for one B in pre-calculus, which was pushed to that so that I wouldn't have to take the final. Ironically, by doing a practice final that the teacher gave. No, really, that is exactly what I had to, the final thing I had to do to make sure that I got exempted from all my finals. So, after using study halls as much as possible to get the homework and stuff done, doing homework right when I got home in the name of not having to do anything, in the name of not having, I lost my train of thought, in the name of not having homework, or in the name of getting it done so that I could enjoy myself for the rest of the night while my siblings who had their extracurricular activities had to do their homework after the extracurricular activities, which would run later into the night. So I just managed my time really well. And long story short, like I said, final term, all A's except for one B. And my final grades overall were 3 A's and 3 B's. What mattered was I got out of all 6 finals. I earned my way to a free week off for myself, where at least for those 4 days, I could have the house to myself and play video games all day. So, after the final day of classes for seniors, where I bragged a little about getting exempted from all 6 of my finals. It was something I really wanted ever since I found out that's what happened if you got the grades that you needed. So, I just went for it. I decided rather than have to take any finals, I am going to put in the work. I'm going to make sure that I get all A's and B's. Well, minus those couple C's early on I could afford to get. But when I struggled with the C, I decided to do better in that class and divert my resources into that class's work. Well, in the case of legal studies, I think it was just getting used to the whole thing. And then pre-calculus, I don't know how I went from an A minus to a C. And then weirdly for English, all 4 terms were A's except for that midterm C. But anyway, what mattered was I'd done it. I accomplished my goal. I got my reward of 4 days off all to myself. 4 extra days off to myself. Where my peers would have to go take any finals that they happen to not be able to get exempted from, or that they didn't have to take earlier in the form of the AP exam. Meanwhile, what was it? Meanwhile, I got to stay home the day after Memorial Day. I think I still started on the game I played through because what I did was I watched through the season of Malcolm in the Middle I was on, while also playing through The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, which I believe I started on the Sunday of that week because that's how I usually rolled. And I would do what I could in the evenings and such when I was able to use the TV. And I was able to play Twilight Princess HD. But after that Sunday and Monday, I had free reign of the TV during the time where my siblings were at school, my parents were at work. The only time I really deviated from using the TV for prolonged periods of time was on the Thursday of that week. I actually walked all the way to Five Guys for lunch so I could have a little change of pace. And then I went to pick up a video game at GameStop. I believe I bought a used copy of Pokemon Platinum that day. Well, I had my little adventure, and then I went home, and eventually I completed The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess on the Saturday of that week basically, after plowing through the game over the course of Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday of that week. I'd earned it. I worked hard all school year so I could do that. You know what? I'm glad that I was able to take that extra week off. Although I did end up doing the usual senior stuff the week after that. So, I think I'm going to leave it here for the video. You let me know in the comments down below what you think of all this, whether you think I focused too much on getting that 1 week off, because keep in mind, for me, it was very important to me because I still had to share the house for the most part, but I wanted extended time with the house to myself, and I was willing to do what it took. I knew what it was going to take, and I decided to make it happen. I refused to give up. I knew what I had to do, and I made it happen. So, give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe for daily videos. I'll see you soon.